Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to go over some of the immediately notable features of the Conservative Manifesto launched by Rishi Sunak today. I say it was launched by Rishi Sunak, but he actually made his colleagues answer questions from the media who were assembled to listen to it. Seems Sunak himself is still a little bit wary of talking to too many journalists. But the first thing I noticed about the document was that it was 80 pages. Oh, that's a lot. A bit surprising. When I checked the 2019 manifesto, that was just 64 pages long. But then you have a quick flick through and it all makes sense. There's a lot of empty pages in it. 8 pages alone are just blanks with a Union flag design on them. Not even chapter titles. Just a tenth of the entire manifesto is just flag. It's like a student trying to pad out their assignment the night before the deadline. I've had that. The Tories also decided to launch their manifesto at Silverstone. This is the home of the British Grand Prix for a lot of years now. And as I've said before, I've no doubt they intended to be associated with cutting edge design and innovation. In reality, it should have been obvious to them that people would just make jokes about wheels falling off and crashing in flames. The index is telling as well in the manifesto. All but the first 2 sections are entitled Our Plan, and then what it's supposed to be a plan for. Sunak hoping that if he says the words our plan enough, people will think he's got a plan. But never mind the presentation, it's now just par for the course that Sunak is going to attract more ridicule than praise for everything he does, because, you know, he deserves it. But what about the content? Well, sidestepping the fact that this manifesto is completely irrelevant, as I discussed in a video yesterday, because ultimately Sunak has no credibility left, there are some things worth bearing in mind. I'm going to refer to a few experts here. The first human rights lawyer who made a really good point, I hadn't noticed this, in 2010, 2015 and 2019, the Conservative Manifesto promised to dismantle or at least change the Human Rights Act. They never managed it though. It was a bit of a relief. Again, thank goodness for stupid evil in some cases. But this manifesto doesn't even do that. Surprising in so many ways, given that a good chunk of the party explicitly wants human rights laws gone. Like before they would talk about reform. No, we don't want to take your rights away. No, we want to enhance them, modernise them, you know. Whereas the pretense has gone now. No, we just want to abolish them completely. So it's strange to see there is no promise to do so in the manifesto. There's a small little line about we'll always choose security, which is a bit of a nod to people who will understand that to mean, yeah, we're going to completely ignore judges if they tell us to obey human rights laws. But there's nothing explicit about changing human rights laws. Then we had Ed Conway of Sky, who's an economics expert. He's worked out that the spending plans amount to £17 billion worth of tax cuts and just under £1 billion of net new spend, mostly on defence, which is apparently going to be paid for by welfare cuts and cracking down on tax avoidance. But the welfare cuts can't really happen more than they already have. I mean, they've already cut everything to the bone over the last 14 years. And the idea of the Tories cracking down on tax avoidance and tax evasion is a joke that nobody would take seriously. Certainly, the Institute for Fiscal Studies have not at all. They have said the Tory plans require a reduction by half in the number of disability claimants. Not really clear how that is to be achieved. The IFS also said that it wasn't clear how the national insurance cuts were going to be paid for either. Basically, the initial verdict is that the figures don't add up. Quelle surprise. At one point, the manifesto claims that we've seized the opportunities of leaving the EU by arranging trade deals that have suited us. And you think, suited us? One of your Brexiteers ministers said that these trade deals were really bad. And Australian reporters were literally laughing when they announced the news of the trade deal Liz Truss struck with them. An entire chapter on how they're going to cut taxes and protect pensions when this is the government that has raised taxes to record levels and for the first time is requiring millions of people dependent upon the state pension to pay income tax. Quite a lot of the document is a variation on the theme, oh yeah, we're going to stop all this stuff that mysteriously has only happened since the Tories took over power. You know, that oh yeah, we're against all these things that have happened in the last 14 years. Are you? But beyond that, is there really much to say? You know, I've linked the document, the description below if you want to read it yourself. But like, consider the following points. First, there was no Conservative manifesto a few weeks ago. They've written this in a hurry. In contrast, Labour have had theirs ready for 2 years. Some details have changed in some areas, we know that, but the broad policies are the same ones they've had since 2022 at least. Second, the Institute for Fiscal Studies has basically said your figures are adding up on a fundamental level. It's not just that they're saying the details are a bit vague here, because after all, they could do that with the Labour one as well. But what the IFS are saying here is, yeah, this doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. This isn't happening. Third, Sunak has spent almost all of his campaign efforts attacking a mythical Labour policy, which has been debunked everywhere. So he hasn't built up a conversation about any of the policies in this document. The problem now is we're 3 weeks away from the election, 3 weeks and then like a couple of days. And if you ask someone on the street to name a Conservative policy, it's like, I'm not really sure. They may say the National Service one, because that was newsworthy a couple of weeks ago, but they don't really know, do they? So they need to point some out. It's worth pointing out that in 2019, the Conservatives presented their shiniest policies at the front. So like, it was a way of saying, look, we've got loads of great ideas. Yeah, the book's full of them. Have a read. But these are the ones we're proudest of. It was highlighted, spotlighted, just these it broke down into 5 policy areas, really. That is not the case in this 2024 manifesto. It's just a document of bullet points. Literally, it's page after page, bullet points, like page of bullet points, page of bullet points, flag, page of bullet points, and all the way through. In seemingly no particular order. It's actually like they've just had a team spending 6 hours a day coming up with any old shit and writing it down. And that's important. Labour and the Conservatives always have a front-loaded offer, a set of policy promises that are particularly appealing to their target voters, their swing voters, that they like to shout about. Labour have got their first 6 steps this year. In 2019, the Tories had things like, the 40 new hospitals, which of course we didn't get, controlling immigration. Oh, we got record immigration. Millions invested in schools. Oh, school buildings are collapsing. Never mind. But they had a list of these sort of 5 main policy areas that they wanted to push quite hard. And you have that every year. There's like there's a relatively small number of policies that they particularly push. The Conservatives don't have any this year. They haven't got that. He tried last year, didn't he, with his 5 priorities. He's decided to abandon them because he thinks, oh, if I put 5 in now, they'll ask me what happened to the last 5. But that now means they don't have any 5. I was waiting genuinely to see which 5 or 6 policies they would decide to lean into. And it seems they don't have any. They understand politics so little, they haven't done that. It's like they're expecting people to read the whole manifesto and pick out for themselves the ones they most like. They're not going to do that. Hardly anyone's going to read the manifesto. Certainly not sort of vaguely interested swing voters who aren't really going to tune in until the last week. What they've done instead, they've released a word salad of a manifesto, which doesn't even draw attention to any platform policies. 4th point, Sunak specifically and the Tories in general have lost all credibility. Sunak is now seen as dishonest. His party have no record of delivery. So even if a swing voter were to read the manifesto and actually go, oh, I like that, yeah, that sounds all right, they wouldn't necessarily trust that Sunak was going to deliver them. And 5th, Sunak is not even able to make the claim that he will cut taxes, despite the implication, when that's their whole thing. Someone asked him today at the launch, a journalist asked him, to confirm that the overall tax burden would be lower under his plans. Sunak was unable to confirm this. He said the tax burden would be lower than the forecast used in the spring budget. But the forecast is just that. It's a forecast. It's a fantasy. It doesn't exist. It's what you think things will look like in the future. It's not the tax burden that we have in the here and now. So the journalist asked, is the tax burden going to be lower than it is in the here and now? And he was not able to say, yes, I can guarantee the tax burden will be lower. Which means if more journalists decide to make something of this, and I don't know if they will or they won't, but if they did, Sunak is going to be trapped into basically having to admit that after 14 years and the highest tax burden in modern history, he cannot even commit to lowering taxes in overall terms. Yes, he can commit to, I'll lower that tax and that tax. Yeah, but what about the overall tax? The overall amount of tax people are paying. Can you lower that? He can't say that. And a Tory leader who cannot say that has nothing. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.